Hi, welcome to my first online freelance journalism 101. This is a class where I will be teaching you the basics for pitching. This is exclusively for people who have tried on and on and on to sell pitches. Maybe you haven't been successful because you're not pitching to the right clients. Maybe you're not pitching the correct info depending on the news cycle. So probably you're one of those that have wondered why aren't the editors getting back to me? I just write to them, I give them great pitches, and I never hear back from them. I rewrite the pitches. Again, no word from the editors. Where there are many reasons for editors not returning your pitches, not answering, even replying yes or no. So don't fret, this happens to all of us, even those of us who have been in the industry for over 15 years. But what I can tell you is that there are remedies, there's things that you can do to get answers, at least in most of the cases. There's also strategies that you can follow for those follow ups after the initial pitches. All of this I teach during my online course, the first one that I'll be doing. This will be the very first batch where I will teach you the ins and outs of freelance journalism. And one of them will be how to pitch to the right clients, how to design a pitch that sells, that entices the clients, something that will keep them wanting more to learn more about these pitches. So we're going to start today. I'm going to teach you how to craft the perfect pitch. A pitch that no matter who you send it to, they will automatically be interested in. And because pitching is an art, but it can also be called a science, there's something out there, there's something that makes people want to learn more about pitches the certain way that they are written. And this is something that I found out over the course of the years. Even without me knowing that I was doing this, I actually had a system. So let's look 1 second at this specific pitch that I sent not so long ago to a new client. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so here on my Gmail, you can see the first one. So the first one is delivery bots take over the Bay Area during the pandemic. Well, I'm based near Silicon Valley, so I write mostly and I do videos mostly with tech and science. So that's one of my main beats. It doesn't mean that it's the only thing I do, but it's one of my main ones. So let's analyze this specific pitch. So there are 3 things that every pitch needs to have in order to be successful. And there's no way of getting around that, honestly. I mean, I think if you analyze most of the successful pitches, you will see that more or less they follow this strategy, even without knowing it. So first, you need a clear and defined idea as the header. The header must read something that leaves no doubt to the editor what it's going to be about. So in this case, it's delivery bots take over the Bay Area during the pandemic. Fine, I think it's pretty clear, what the pitch is going to be about. Then, after that, you need the explainer. In the explainer, we explain why this is happening. So here we explain why these bots are taking over the Bay Area. So we know it's the pandemic, so we can kind of figure out why. So Silicon Valley has seen a surge in the number of delivery bots that cruise around its streets in the past months. The pandemic made these companies hit the speed button given the need for contactless delivery, while granting a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity empty streets. There are 3 major bot delivery companies in the area. So basically, that's kind of like the explainer. That's where you say, look, this is what the pitch is going to be about. This is a more developed explanation of the header. So you can start to wrap your head around what I'm trying to sell you here. And then you need the visualization. So with this visualization, this is not only for video pitching, if you're pitching to a TV station or a place that deals with videos. This is extremely important also for print stories. If the editor cannot see the angle, if the editor cannot see the same story that you want to sell to him or her, You're done. You're not going to sell that story as good as it may be. So here the visualization is I could interview and then I print and video story. This is where I'm explaining to the editor that I can do print and video with footage including interviews with the company owners and the delivery bots running around the sidewalks and delivering to people. So there they can see how the story is going to go. Then they can start to figure it out. Even if it's only print, they can understand what it is, what you mean. That's extremely important that the editor can understand, can see your angle, what you're trying to portray. Otherwise, again, you're done. Once they read something and they don't understand it or they don't share in your vision, you are not going to make that sale. Because at the end of the day, pitching is also selling. You're selling an idea for a story. It doesn't matter, print, video, radio. It's the same for news. You're selling an idea. And the editor has to understand why that idea is so important and only you can bring the added value. Let's take a look at number 2, following these 3 steps that I explained. So, San Franciscans migrating to greener pastures. Okay, I don't think that needs to be, explained in depth. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, especially during this pandemic times. So this is your main idea, your header. Again, I don't think that anyone would read this and not understand, especially right now in our current situation. So here after that, after the main explainer, I go and develop the idea. So the idea is, in a trend that began a few years ago, thousands of San Franciscans are leaving the city during the pandemic. They're escaping impossibly high living standards and poor conditions in the city, coupled with the possibility for many to work remotely, maintaining the same salary. Many residents have also opted to live in RVs in order to save money. Okay, so this is the explainer of the pitch. This is where I develop the concept of the pitch. Why is it important to talk about that, who these people are, why they're doing what they're doing. And then here, this part is the part where I do the visualization. I make the editor visualize what I am going to do, whether it's video or print. Again, just as important as the explainer and the main header, the introduction. So here in the visualization, I tell the editor, I can interview moving companies to see how many moves they've made in the past, and a couple of housing agencies that help neighbors in the city. I can also find a family about to move and willing to speak. I can do print and video for this story too. Okay, so I think that explains everything that I want to do with this story, the way I see it, the angle that I want to work with, without actually going too deep into it. Another huge mistake that I've seen people make when writing pitches is that they think they have to write mini novels. No editor is going to sit there and go through half a page of a pitch. No one is going to do that. No one has the time. So a good pitch won't have more than 5 or 6 lines, at least in the body of an email. So don't go crazy. I mean, all you need to do is just write good, tight sentences that convey as much information as possible without really going too deep into it so that it will not bore the editor. Remember, editors are people like us. They can get bored as well. They don't have a lot of time, and they're probably looking at a lot of other pitches from other people. So the fastest you can convey your idea in the best way, that will be probably a winning pitch. And the editor will be happy that he or she is not wasting a lot of time. So this would be the perfect structure for a winning pitch. Now, there are also many reasons why sometimes even ideal pitches don't get commissioned. The editors maybe have a lot of stories that day, more pressing issues. Maybe that publication doesn't have a lot of money that specific month. Or maybe just the editor, honestly, sometimes is not into the story. It can happen. Maybe the editor looks at this and the editor is like, well, I like sports and I like politics. Honestly, technology, I don't think it's that amazing. Or, San Franciscans migrating to greener pastures. It's like, okay, who cares what happens in San Francisco? Who cares what happens in New York during the pandemic? I just want to do more local stories. Honestly, there can be 1,000 reasons why an editor does not get back to, with answers to your pitches. But definitely the main reason should never be that it's a bad pitch, that it's a poorly crafted pitch. If you stick to this system, to this way of writing a pitch, at least you will have a fighting chance that they will look at it and may become interested. Otherwise, if you write half a page of a pitch or, ideas everywhere, confusing, boring, without too much information, or also if you write pitches that don't fit what your client does, that's a guaranteed recipe for disaster. The editors will not even, they will read the first line and then they will understand immediately that that was done by an amateur or someone who doesn't know how to write a good pitch. So just remember to stick to those three ideas. So a pitch or story proposal has the three basic elements: clear and defined main idea. Here, delivery bots take over the Bay Area during the pandemic. San Franciscans migrating to greener pastures. Explainer, that's basically the body of the pitch. This is where you develop the header, the main idea that you wrote in the beginning. You tell the editors what the story is about, why is it important, where it happens. Your basic 5Ws, they don't really have to be, honestly, all of them the 5Ws, but you have to have the basic story defined in a very tight way, as an explainer. Again, please, no Bibles in the pitch. So, and then at the end, you have to have your visualization. Like, fine, I already gave you the explainer. Now this is what it will look like. This is who I'm going to interview. These are all the moving parts that I am going to work on. So visualize the story with me, how it's going to look like, when I'm done with it. So here, the story, the visualization is footage including interviews with the company owners and the delivery bots running around the sidewalks and delivering to people. So then the editor thinks, oh, okay, I see it, small bots just running in the sidewalks, taking things to people. Okay, that does sound pretty cool. Yeah, I want it. My readers, my viewers are going to love it. Here, again, you got your main idea, the header, San Franciscans migrating to greener pastures. Now you can add during the pandemic if you want. It's also a good idea, but because we're in this new cycle, you don't really need to, because everyone just understands that obviously people are migrating right now because there's no work or there are better opportunities somewhere else. But that depends on you. So, and here is your explainer in this part. So, in a trend that began a few years ago, thousands of people are leaving the city during the pandemic, blah, blah. Again, this is where you develop the main idea. This is where you tell the editor who, why, when, what, everything. It's San Franciscans, they lost their jobs, it's very expensive, they have nowhere to go, so they either flee the city or the state, or they move into RVs to save money. So after that, you go with the visualization. So, you tell them, I can interview moving companies. So then they start thinking, okay, moving companies, yeah, they're the ones who are going to know. I mean, they're the ones doing the move. Moving companies to see how many moves they've made in the past months. And a couple of housing agencies that help neighbors in the city. Okay, again, they're visualizing these housing agencies, whether it's for video or print. They're thinking, okay, they're going to really add to the story because they have things to say. And I can also find a family about to move who's willing to speak. So I think that's the cherry on the cake on top of the ice cream. So obviously, a family talking either on camera or on the record for print is a great idea to have because they're about to move. They probably have a lot of things to say about why they're moving, and the editor again can picture it in his or her head. They can finally understand why this story is so important. And it's so important not only because the world, everybody knows San Francisco, people are in general are interested in things that happen here, but they can picture a family talking in first person about whatever the reasons that they may have to move to greener pastures. So, in a nutshell, this would be the system to write a pitch that sells. Obviously, there's a lot more moving parts that you need to take into account when writing a pitch, and I will teach you all of it in my course, Freelance Journalism 101, that I will launch November this month, 21st. We will talk about, what kind of clients you should be pitching to. I will help you find out your perfect niche because not everyone has, a niche that they want to do. Not everyone can maybe write the same stories. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. My weakness is honestly finance. I mean, I'm not good at it, so I avoid them. I only do them if I'm forced to. But my strength is tech stories, tech, science, also social interest stories. So those are the kind of stories that I generally pitch, and I have a really high rate of commissioning. It's very rare that I will pitch to a new client, a brand new client, and they don't get back to me, at least to say, I like your stories, I want to commission this one. I mean, sometimes what can happen is they come back to me and they say, look, we're not in a good financial situation, but that's another story. But again, for a good working company that has money and that they're looking for people to contribute to them, I have a really high commissioning rate. And it is because I follow this system and I also pitch to the right kind of clients and I pitch the right kind of stories to them. I follow also the news cycle, and this is something that I will also teach you when I'm teaching you how to pitch to the best clients. I will teach you how to find those clients that you really want to work with, and I will also explain to you how to pitch correctly. Again, not every client, not every media publication, can be pitched the same way. There are different strategies depending if they are video, if they are print, if they are news, if they're related to news, if they're more of a niche media publication, like, I don't know, cars or travel industry. Very different. And all that you need to have into account. Also, where you're living. Are you a foreigner in another country and you want to pitch stories to your home country media? Or maybe you live in a small city and you want to pitch on a national level. So again, very different strategies depending on who you're pitching to. And it is crucial and vital that you learn how to do this. Otherwise, you're just going to be swimming in a sea of pitches. You have to compete with so many other people who are also sending their pitches in the hopes that it gets commissioned. So all of this and way much more, this is what I'm going to teach you at my course. You can sign up here on this email, and I really hope to see you on November 21. Please don't hesitate to write if you have any other questions. I really hope that this class was helpful and that you can now feel more confident when you're pitching to a client.